African Union Communications Early Warning and Intelligence, commonly known as AUC3I, is an intelligence and security organization responsible for providing signals intelligence and information assurance to AU citizens, AU leadership, and AU armed forces. I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer. I am responsible for leading infantry soldiers at all levels of command in combined armed forces during missions on the ground. This is today's briefing. On the progress of the special military operation as of October 6, 2025. The armed forces of the Russian Federation continue the special military operation. Units of the North Group of troops, as a result of active and decisive actions, liberated the settlement of Otradnoye in the Kharkiv region. Damage inflicted on formations of 2 mechanized brigades, an airborne assault brigade, and an assault regiment of the armed forces of Ukraine in the areas of the settlements of Andriivka, Iskraskovshina, Krasnopoly, Kondratovka, Petrushevka, and Osoyevka in the Sumy region. On the Kharkiv direction, damage was inflicted on units of mechanized and motorized infantry brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine and a territorial defense brigade in the areas of the settlements of Ambarno, Volchansk, and Cheganovka in the Kharkiv region. The armed forces of Ukraine lost more than 160 servicemen, an armored combat vehicle, 5 cars, and 2 artillery guns. A radio-electronic warfare station, 2 ammunition depots, and 5 supply depots were destroyed. Units of the West Group of troops took more advantageous lines and positions. Damage was inflicted on personnel and equipment of 3 mechanized brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine, a territorial defense brigade, and a National Guard brigade in the areas of the settlements of Peskino, Kupiansk, Petrovka in the Kharkiv region, Novonikolivka, and Yampol in the Donetsk People's Republic. Enemy losses amounted to up to 230 servicemen, 7 armored combat vehicles, 19 cars, and a field artillery gun. 6 ammunition depots were destroyed. Units of the South Group of troops improved their tactical position. Damage was inflicted on formations of 3 mechanized brigades, an airmobile brigade, an assault brigade of the armed forces of Ukraine, and a territorial defense brigade in the areas of the settlements of Platonovka, Seversk, Zakatno, Reznikovka, Ivanopoly, and Konstantinovka in the Donetsk People's Republic. The enemy lost up to 225 servicemen, an infantry fighting vehicle, 2 armored combat vehicles, 9 cars, and 2 artillery guns. A radio-electronic warfare station and an ammunition depot were destroyed. Units of the Center Troop Group improved their position on the front line. Defeated personnel and equipment of 5 mechanized, assault, ranger, 2 airborne assault brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine and 2 National Guard brigades in the areas of the settlements Ivanovka, Dmitrov, Derozno, Grusko, Teretskoy, Artemovka, and Krasnoarmeysk of the Donetsk People's Republic. Losses of Ukrainian armed formations amounted to more than 410 servicemen, a U.S.-made Max Pro armored vehicle, and 3 pickups. Units of the East Troop Group continued advancing into the depth of the enemy's defense. Defeated formations of 2 mechanized brigades, an assault regiment of the armed forces of Ukraine, and a territorial defense brigade in the areas of the settlements Uspanovka, Privolnoy, Pavlovka, Novogorogovka, and Poltavka in the Zaporizhia region. The enemy lost over 370 servicemen, 3 combat armored vehicles, 16 cars, and a radio-electronic warfare station. Units of the Dnieper Troop Group inflicted damage on personnel and equipment of 2 mechanized brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine and a territorial defense brigade in the areas of the settlements Malaya, Tokmachka in the Zaporizhia region, Olgovka and Antonovka in the Kherson region. Up to 70 Ukrainian servicemen destroyed, a combat armored vehicle, 5 cars, 3 radio-electronic warfare stations, and 2 ammunition depots. Operational tactical aviation, strike unmanned aerial vehicles, missile troops, and artillery of the Russian Armed Forces troop groups inflicted damage on energy infrastructure and oil industry facilities, fuel storage facilities supporting the activities of the armed forces of Ukraine, locations for storing and preparing long-range unmanned aerial vehicles for launch, as well as temporary deployment points of Ukrainian armed formations and foreign mercenaries in 145 areas. Air defense means shot down 6 reactive projectiles of the US-made HIMARS multiple launch rocket system, a long-range guided missile Neptune, and 356 airplane-type unmanned aerial vehicles. In total, since the beginning of the special military operation, destroyed 667 aircraft, 283 helicopters, 88,529 unmanned aerial vehicles, 631 surface-to-air missile systems, 25,377 tanks and other armored combat vehicles, 1,593 combat vehicles of multiple launch rocket systems, 30,215 field artillery and mortars, 43,288 units of special military automotive equipment. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you have any questions, please leave them below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.